Chelsea are at Ellen Road for the first league meeting since 2004. On that day, Damien Duff's goal saw the points shared at 1-1. A lot has changed since then. The Blues head into this unbeaten since Thomas Tuchel took over. Hello and welcome to Matchday Live. A nice early start for us today as well. I'm joined by Jason Cundy, Savage Dan, and a late substitute in for Abby McCarthy. We've got Zach Jellab. Zach, I'm going to start with you then, mate, because, why not? Late minute call up. Neutrals love watching Leeds games because they're usually, there's usually lots of goals. They score a lot, but they also concede quite a few. Would you say maybe defensively today we'll learn a lot about Chelsea? Because it's quite a test, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'd also say we've faced Liverpool and Manchester United, who aren't too shabby going forward. But you're right, they very much play attacking football. They live and die by the sword. And whether it's them winning 3-0 or a game that consists of about 5 goals scored between the teams, it's always interesting, good fun. But for sure, I mean, Tuchel will know the threat that Leeds have, and we've seen it against Liverpool earlier this season, against Manchester City earlier this season. They aren't an easy team, and if you expect them to kind of maybe be the biggest problem is them and the way they play football for the reason as you score goals, then I don't think that's going to happen. Yeah, for sure. I think it'll be a Chelsea win.
Jace, this is quite a special fixture, is it? It's quite a nostalgic fixture as well, Chelsea Leeds. It's quite a lot that goes on. I've seen quite a lot of the 1970 final replayed again this week. I remember the game at Stamford Bridge earlier in the season. Ben did an amazing montage for us on the fifth down that kind of run you through it all. But it is quite a special one. It's a shame that obviously no fans in the ground today. But what are your memories of the past and away days at Ellen Road?
Well, here I was at the game as a very small child when we beat them 5-0 and they smashed up the scoreboard. I was a schoolboy here at the time, and where I was stood with my dad was about, 25 feet away from the Leeds fans, and it was scary. Ellen Road's always been traditionally a tough place to go, the most hostile place I ever played at. And I think one thing that's been missing, of course, every fan's, but the one thing that I feel everyone's missed out on is the Leeds fans when they turn up, because they make a lot of noise. They really do make a hell of an atmosphere. And unfortunately today we're not going to be able to experience that. I never won at Ellen Road. It's just one of those fixtures that as a Chelsea fan, means so much going back over the years. And it's still alive and well amongst the fans. I can tell you that much on social media. I've had some rather interesting messages from Leeds fans throughout this season. Now they're back with the big boys. It's been a long time. This is going to be a tough game in its own way, because Leeds are a side that throw men forward at any given opportunity. You won't be surprised to look up and see maybe 6-7 bodies in the box. That they're like that. But consequently, of course, they can be got at. They are a side that you enjoy watching because they throw men forward, but it's a side I think you can enjoy playing against as well because of the space that they will give you. And tactically, Tuchel will set up to no doubt exploit that. I think it's quite simple how you set up and play against Leeds. It's stopping them, which perhaps is going to be hard, because you've got to give them credit. They throw men forward, but they scored. If they got the goals they scored as many goals, I believe, as we have. They've conceded more than Sheffield United. So that gives you some idea. Scoring goals top 4, relegation conceding. So, that's the sort of side they are.
So a quick look then at how we predict today will go on Play Predictor, of course. Your chance to get involved as well and win a £100 Megastore voucher and a signed shirt as well. All you need to do is get to the Fifth Stand app and get your predictions in before 11:30. So you've got a couple of minutes to go and do that now. On Monday, Simu from Kenya won. 80 points is the total that they were kind of accumulated. That's quite a good score, but that's your benchmark. That's what you've got to be aiming for today. We have gone for 3-0 wins for myself. Jason has gone 3-1. Zach has gone 3-0. Dan has gone 2-0. Dan, not only your score, but more as a larger point, what have you made of Leeds this season?
I think they've been good to watch. It's they just want to play football. They really want to say, we'll have a go, you have a go, we'll have a go. It's more like a basketball game when you watch a Leeds match. I like it. They're brave. You've got Bielsa, who gets a lot of credit. And I know a few people who give him a lot of stick as well. And, rightly so. I feel like if you are going to have that kind of attacking prowess, you need to, worry about what's coming in behind you as well. So it's fun to watch, fun to play against. We just got to make sure that they don't get an early goal or they don't start to get lucky and little things start to go. Because, they play in a way where if if luck is on their side, they'll just score 4 goals out of absolutely nowhere. So, we know who we've got to look out for. Rafinha. I'm not sure if Bamford's playing quality as well. So as long as we look after their quality players, I'm sure that there's a couple of goals in this for us.
Zach, I think we're all kind of anticipating at some point Chelsea will be on the deliverance of quite a big result, because we're creating opportunities, and there's going to be a game like that. Obviously, I want to quickly wish Abby McCarthy well as well. Obviously, she's a little bit under the weather today, which is why you've stepped in last minute, which is why Abby's name's up on the play predictor board rather than yours. But you've gone for 3-0. Do you think today's the day then that Chelsea do put a game to bed and really run out emphatically?
It should have been Everton. It honestly should have been Everton. With the chances we created, we should have come out of that game at least 4, possibly 5. And so I am kind of waiting for that day where we kind of do demolish a team, and it could possibly be Leeds. With the way they defend and the way they leave so much space for us, that could play into our hands fantastically. It's good because at least we're sitting here, we're having the chances. We're not sitting here and saying we're not creating anything. We're not creating enough chances to score. We are literally kind of just doing everything but putting it into the back of the net at times. And so today we should hopefully, if we kind of be a bit more clinical, make sure we're taking our chances, then we could kind of see us finally finish a game within maybe an hour mark rather than being a bit worried up until the 90th minute.
Jace, there is quite a split between fans and pundits of what to make of Leeds. A lot of people are quite positive about the I suppose the offensive approach that they take, but also there are a lot of purists out there that go, it's nice to see teams play attacking football, but when you are that unconservative and you do concede that many goals, perhaps it's not the right approach. What have you made of them as a general point?
I think when you consider where they've come from, they're a championship side last year, and they've handled the Premier League incredibly well. If you look back at the way they pretty much approach games, they'd rather win one and lose one than draw both. That's how they are, and of course you pick up more points that way. And that's why they are where they are. I mentioned the goal difference earlier. I think their goal difference will tell you, and their league position will tell you where they are. They score loads, concede loads. They're mid-table. That's what you're going to get with mid-table. I think at times they get a bit too much credit. I don't think I've ever seen a manager receive so much praise after conceding 6 goals at Old Trafford. Having said that, they were a championship side last year and they scored 2 goals there. And there's a balance. And that, for me, I don't think they quite get the balance right. As me personally, if I was playing in that side, I would love to see the way we attack, but the amount of times I've seen them leave themselves vulnerable and open as a defender, I'd be screaming at my midfield, you cannot leave me. You cannot leave those spaces like that, because teams like Chelsea will absolutely run rampant given the chance. And I think that the way that Tuchel will set up, as I've said, he will be very much aware of what they do, defensively solid, and then have enough going forward to punish them. And that's pretty much how most teams should go in against Leeds. And I think they're perfect for us, and they're not going to change. I don't see any signs of them changing.
Zach's already alluded to it, but our hot topic 1 for today is 5 changes, same result. Monday versus Everton was I suppose a real test, Dan, because we didn't expect the changes that were coming in. Even to the extent of Mason Mount not starting the game, a lot of eyebrows were raised prior to it. But it shows the strength of the squad. Thomas Tuchel even mentioned that in his post-match interview, that the importance of the squad dynamic and having players that are comfortable and capable of stepping in whenever you need to rotate and make changes. But that was a big statement performance, wasn't it? Especially because after getting a good result at Anfield, and now what looks like a decent point against Manchester United as well, you need to carry that on. And Everton as well are in the chasing pack for top 4 football.
Yeah, it was a very impressive win, just because we made changes. Everton, we know what they can do on their day. It was another acid test, and it shows how much the players are buying into the system. The fact that Tuchel said, not everyone's going to get their chances straight away, but when they do, their job is to be ready. And everyone who's coming in at the moment is fitting in and slotting in very, very well. It almost feels like there is no changes, even when there's 4. On a single day. So, we're learning a lot. It looks like the players are learning a lot and really, learning exactly how to play regardless of personnel. It looks good. Like we was here a few months ago and it was a little bit dull and we weren't playing great. And now, it's only a couple of months into the Tuchel era, and we look good.
We do look very good. And Zach, I think there's a big thing to say about, we're going to find out the lineup shortly, of course. But in fact, I tell you what, let's do that right now, because we are joined by Matt Davies-Adams from Ellen Road. Matt, I believe you there. We're having a little bit of problem with your camera, I think, but I think it might be something to do with the wind, because it looks like it is howling at Ellen Road this morning, mate. We can hear you, I believe. We can. So could you run us through the team, please, mate?
I can, Joe. Yeah, 6 changes today for Thomas Tuchel. So he maintains his record of never having picked the same Chelsea team twice. In coming Rudiger, Kanté, Chilwell, Mount, Pulisic and Ziyech, taking the place of Zuma, Alonso, James, Kovacic, Werner and Callum Hudson-Odoi. So I guess the big question there is, who's going to play in the right wing-back role?
Very interesting. Matt,
isn't it?
yeah, Matt, we're going to keep you on. We might not be able to see your camera. We might have to switch it off. We can still hear you, so we are going to keep hold of you for a little bit longer, because I want to come back to you in a second about the pitch, because I've seen your picture on Twitter. But Jay, very quickly on that, because there are a lot of changes, a lot to dissect from that. What's your immediate reaction?
Well, I mean, it looks like if we're going to play the 3 at the back, which I expect us to, it looks like Pulisic is going to be right wing back. The fact that N'Golo is in there Tuchel is showing the respect that they probably deserve, because they're going to throw men forward. Defensively, we've got someone in there that can break up attacks. Mason Mount, his numbers, he ran more miles and kilometres than any other Chelsea player against Leeds earlier in the season. And he was always going to come back, because against Leeds, you need to match their energy. You need to match them yard for yard, because they will run you ragged if given the chance. Interesting to see that we've now got Ziyech, Mason and Kai in there. Kai will probably be the furthest man forward. That false number 9, so that front 3 there is not lacking in creativity, is it? And you Pulisic on the right wing back, that's how it looks right now. Look, it's got a bit of everything. It's got some defensive nous, in the fact that he brought in N'Golo, and he's also got pace and creativity up top. So it kind of fits the opposition. He does that, Tuchel, doesn't he? He looks at the opposition, will tailor his team accordingly and show the respect or perhaps the concerns that the opposition will offer us, and he tries to put the team out there that will deal with that.
Matt, I was going to say it looks like a kind of day where you keep the ball on the deck, because you've got Ziyech, Havertz and Mount as like Jason said, arguably looking like a front 3. But then I've also seen the condition of the pitching patches from your picture on Twitter this morning. What are the conditions like up there today?
It's so windy. I mean, firstly, thank you to the gods of wind and whoever's in charge of the Wi-Fi for meaning that my windswept lockdown haircut has not made air today. That's a big boost for me, at least. But the pitch is, I mean, it's miles away from what you would expect of a Premier League pitch, to be honest. It's very bare in patches. I think that, it sounds daft to say, but the warm-up might be really, really important today. The wind is blowing, but it's not so bad once you're inside the stadium. But this is not what Chelsea and other Premier League teams are used to in terms of a surface. And we saw Villa win here the other week, but their players spent the first half basically falling over. Patrick Bamford's been wearing rugby studs in his boots for the last few weeks. It is incredibly bare, dusty, sandy in places. I think they call it a leveller back in the day. Jason's probably played on a few pitches like this in his time, but yeah, it'll be news to the likes of Hakim Ziyech and Kai Havertz, I think.
Dan, I'm going to talk to you in a minute about Christian Pulisic playing wing-back, because there is a conversation to be had there about something you said a long time ago.
Oh, no.
Got ridiculed for. Yes,
God.
Zach's very aware of it from the unscripted show on YouTube, which is well worth watching.
God.
So I'll come to you in a second, Dan. But first, Zach, I want to kind of talk to you about the Kai Havertz role, because it's, I suppose, something like we've seen him at Leverkusen. He's almost like Jason said, maybe a false 9, kind of the furthest forward. He'll drop in, but also we forget about Kai, but he scored a lot of goals when he was at Leverkusen. He created a lot of goals as well, but he has got the frame and the build and the ability to play that role specifically, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he's more of a goal scorer than he is a creator. He's there for finishing it rather than setting it up per se. And you're right. At Leverkusen, he played false 9 as his kind of main position. Yes, he played a bit more in central midfield. He also played a bit on the right as well. But that, I think, if you ask him, that is probably a position he says is his favourite. And we saw after the game against Everton how Tuchel wants to use him. He says he wants him high up the pitch. He wants him very close to goal and inside the box. And he was such a nuisance in that Everton defence and a good Everton defence as well. Ben Godfrey had a great game against us, even though he lost. But he caused him a lot of troubles, and he's going to be kind of pushing that line because he is quite quick. He's also very good in the air. He's kind of got it all. He's not necessarily lacking in any department. Has a good touch, can pass around the ball, and can dribble. So today is a big game for him because he's also, as we said, against Everton. Like, if you take your chance, you get into the next squad. You see today he's into the next squad, but that's a continuation. You've got to continue performing to the high level because otherwise, Timo Werner's on the bench and he can come on, or Giroud's on the bench and he can play up front. But it's also interesting as well because it means getting in players like Mount and Pulisic and Ziyech into the game more. He's going to be kind of playing balls for them to also get goal scoring opportunities. So it's going to be an interesting game for him for sure.
And now we cross to Mystic Dan, who's going to tell us about Christian Pulisic playing the wing-back role. Again, if you have missed this, Dan, you predicted this a long time ago, a long time prior to Thomas Tuchel about potentially Christian Pulisic playing full. I've never seen you this smug before, mate, as well. But I tell you what, you deserve it. Crack on. Yeah. It's all you.
Look, I always said I personally prefer Chelsea with three at the back. I remember, at the time, Zach was against
I laughed at him.
Laughed at the idea of going three at the back. I think it works for us. I really do. And I said, as Zach will remember, that Christian Pulisic at wing back is not as outrageous a shout as people think. He did it in Germany, albeit it's a different league, but he has all the ingredients to do it. He's fast, he's energetic, makes good decisions, he's brave on the ball. And especially if we're going to be getting the ball in advanced areas, I see no reason why Christian Pulisic doesn't get that position, can't play in that position, And lo and behold, Leeds United, and it looks like he's going to be in the wing-back position. But I like it, I really do. Obviously, he's not defensively minded, but he would have been well-drilled and well-briefed in playing this position against this side. He knows that Leeds are going to come onto us, so he has to be defensively sound as well as, attackingly brave, I guess. So, yeah, I like it. I thank Tuchel for obviously watching Unscripted. And
it could be four at the back.
He's desperate for it. He's desperate for it to not be. It's a shout. We will find out. Matt, I wonder if you could quickly give us the information on Leeds as well. Have you got any team news for them? Anything that surprises you about them?
Nothing really surprising, Joe. 3 changes for them from that defeat against West Ham. Costa, Cleek and Cooper all out. The first 2 of those are on the bench. Alioski, Struijk and Harrison are the men to come in. Patrick Bamford, by the way, making his 100th appearance for Leeds today. He's already got 13 Premier League goals this season. Probably worth pointing out as well, it's the first time ever that Thomas Tuchel and Marcelo Bielsa have ever been in opposite dugouts. So that's going to be interesting to watch.
It's a special one as well because they don't come around much when you've been in the game as long as Bielsa and play in the leagues that Tuchel's played as well, do they?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure, Thomas Tuchel as a modern coach is probably a Bielsa disciple. Most of them are in the Premier League. So it's going to be something for him to stand a couple of yards away from where the opposition manager is sitting on his special bucket.
Jason, I'm very interested about the Patrick Bamford and rugby studs thing because that does lend itself to a very old-fashioned approach, doesn't it? Especially the pitch today, the Leeds Chelsea fixture is an added narrative that a centre forward is wearing rugby studs and an old-fashioned centre forward as well in Patrick's defence. I'm not doing him any disservice there. He's a brilliant player.
Yeah, I'm just before I answer that, I've got the monitor in front of me here, and Matt's absolutely right. The pitch, it really is of a poor standard. In particular, the end that I'm looking at here, opposite the Don Revie stand. The other end, where I think the away fans often congregate out to that right-hand side, it really isn't great. But we won't be talking about using this as an excuse. This is a game that I don't want to hear anything about the weather, the wind, the pitch, nothing like that. Because man for man, we're better than them. In terms of using studs. Yeah, I mean, rugby studs, wow. I don't think I've ever heard it. I used to enjoy wearing long studs. I felt, even in the harder grounds, I did feel at times that it did give me an opportunity, certainly with losing footing as a defender is a no-no. So I always used to like wearing long studs anyway. But in the modern day pitch, that doesn't really kind of feel right because of the way that the pitches are made. There's that synthetic grass. It's woven into the pitch. They're very firm now. I don't know what kind of stud I would wear now, but I think that gives you some idea as to how bad things might be out there. And I remember the game that Matt mentioned there, where the Villa players were slipping over. There was a lot of that. So footwear is absolutely crucial, and the players will be looking at that. That's part of your warm up, is to work out what footwear you need.
Absolutely. Well, that is all from us for now. We'll be back shortly with plenty more build-up to Chelsea's trip to Leeds United. But first, here is the boss, Thomas Tuchel's press conference ahead of today's game.
It's 8 wins and 3 draws since you took over in all competitions. Have you surprised yourself, and have the players surprised you at how quickly they've adapted to your methods?
I don't know if surprise is the right word, because that would mean that we did not allow ourselves to achieve things like that, and that's not the case. If we, but is it nice to see? And this is a very quick adaptation from us and from the players to ourselves. Yes, of course, clearly, and we are very, very happy with what we see and the way we play, and of course with the results. We will never forget that in football you also need luck. We will never neglect that. So this is also a big part of it. But the atmosphere, the support, and the quality of the group and the bond between the players and how they play is fantastic. And this is the base for every development and for good results. And this is what we have. But it's like a surprise. I mean, we did not think too much what is possible and what is not. We stepped in. There was no time to overthink it. Maybe that was very good. And from there on, like I said, we had a good start and we got some results, and then we grow in confidence. And now we're on a very, very good way. But we are on the middle. We're not. It's not finished. It's a development and it's a journey, and it's by far not finished.
Christian Pulisic hasn't started in the Premier League for you. I know you said that he's been unlucky and he will have to be patient. How has he reacted to that? And do you think he will be patient?
I hope so. When you sign and play for Chelsea, it is part of the job description as a player to be impatient and patient at the same time. Impatient because all of my players are competitors. All of them want to play every single minute. And this is what they all show every day, the hunger and the desire. And this is what Christian shows. At the same time, when you're not selected from the coach, and from me, you have to also be patient, to not lose confidence, and to keep on going and to be ready anytime, because it can happen anytime. So in the beginning, he was a bit unlucky because we knew how much of an impact he can have when he comes from the bench. And we used this power and strength from him. When it was possible for him to start around Sheffield and Barnsley game, he was one game unavailable. The other game came a bit too soon in the cup game against Barnsley. Was a difficult game for him, so it was not too easy. But now in the end, it's the credit for the players always, and the quality from the players that shine on the pitch. And this is if you turn it around, is also the duty of the players to show up and to really earn that they play. And this is what Christian does. So it can happen any minute, any game. At some point, it's just this. I have nothing to complain. I feel him like in the last days, very positive. And doing the best out of his situation, and this is what he can do.
Last one, please, Davies.
I know things can change, of course. You say he could be ready to start, but if he doesn't get the game time that he desires between now and the end of the season, would you stand in his way if he came to you and he said, I'll need a new challenge because I want to play?
A lot of if in your question. A lot of ifs. So if he starts tomorrow, and if he does brilliantly, and if he starts again against Atletico, and if he scores again 2 goals, and if maybe he is the captain next year of our squad. I don't know. I know what you mean, but this is too far ahead. We have so many games, and he is in my plans, and he is an important player, and he has the potential. He has the potential to be decisive for us from the bench, and as a beginner, is it necessary that he can prove it? Yes. So this is my job, and his job is to be ready like everybody else. And when there comes the moment, you have to be ready. This is what you sign up for in a club like Chelsea. There's no difference between Christian and anybody else.
John Southall, 5 Live.
Hi Thomas. Just a word about Kai Havertz. He played well on Monday night. Where do you think his best position is, and how much potential do you see there?
I think that we are pretty, from my opinion right now and today, this is pretty much maybe his best position, between a 9 and a 10, and have the freedom to drop and to move fluid between the two positions and to shift positions between a 10 and 9. I feel him very confident in high positions. I like to have him in high positions. I don't want to have him behind the ball. I want to have him high up the pitch. And he feels comfortable in the back of opponents. He feels comfortable in between the lines, in narrow pockets in between the lines. So this is pretty much it. If it's like a 9 when he starts all his actions from the very center of the pitch, or if it's maybe a more a half position, like between a 10 and 9, and between a winger and a 10 and a 9. This is pretty much the space where he can feel comfortable and where he can be decisive for us. He had a huge impact into our game, and we were very happy because this was not easy to come back so strong after so many games where he could not play.
You come up against Marcelo Bielsa tomorrow.
Yeah.
Is it your first meeting with him, and do you see it as a personal challenge when you come up against somebody like him to out-tactic him?
It is always a little bit, but it's always a challenge, but never too personal. I mean, when you're a manager in Premier League, like I said in the very beginning, you have this challenge that you face all these big clubs with a huge reputation. And I remember Leeds United when I was actually a player in second division in Germany, in Stuttgart, and VfB Stuttgart played against Leeds United, this famous game where there was like a mistake in exchanging players and then it has to be retaken. So it was more or less a Champions League game from Leeds United. And so there are big teams out there, like tomorrow again, with big history, strong players, strong managers, and Bielsa is clearly one of the most fascinating managers out there. A big personality for sure, but it's like with any other game, it's not like I have I put the pressure on myself that I personally have to beat or out-tactic Marcelo Bielsa. This is not how we approach, or I approach games. I want to not interfere my team, hopefully, and not disturb. This is the secret. So we will totally focus on us, what to do, how to attack, how to defend. They built clearly a strong squad with him to be promoted, and to play seasons like this is amazing.
Last one, John.
Just on Tammy, how long do you think he'll be out for? Is it a serious ankle injury?
I'm a bit honestly, I'm a bit concerned because it's still the pain from the tackle against Burnley, and so we're talking about a long time now, where he does not really feel 100% free and comfortable, and I can see it in training. And in training, even if he finishes training, I see that it's not the 100% that he has trust or that he feels totally free. So yeah, I'm a bit concerned. At the same time, I have 100% in our medical department, and the guys are fantastic and they take care now. It was a bit of a setback yesterday that he had to leave the pitch after warm-up or during the warm-up, but he gets all the time he needs, and And first of all, it's the most important that he feels safe and free and feels zero pain, and then we can think about his comeback.
James, talk sport.
Thomas, Leeds has got a very unique style of playing.
Yeah.
What have you made of Marcelo Bielsa's tactics, and how do you counter them and beat them tomorrow?
Nice question that I cannot answer in detail, but yeah, he built a strong squad. His style of play is very unique, it's very intense. We see this in all datas from them. We see it even in last season datas when they played against Chelsea. So it is a very intensive game. It's a game with a lot of intensive runs from Leeds, a very flexible midfield where they change positions all the time. So very, very attacking side. They try to win every game. If you look at their results, I think they have only 2 draws until this moment. So they are brave, they are courage, they trust in their physical ability and in their capability of high intensity runs, and you have to match it. If we can control the game, okay, we try to, but there will be moments in this game where you simply have to match all the physicality, and we need to find a squad that is ready for that. We had some pictures from the pitch, so we also have to adapt to by far not like a standard that we are used to play on. So a lot of things to adapt and to be ready, and this is our job.
I spoke to Andreas Christensen yesterday, and he said we're not going to stop chasing second or third. Is that the way you're feeling about things, looking upwards rather than at those sides trying to catch you in fourth?
Yes, but for me personally, upwards means also always the next match, because there is in football very, very easy said, like there's no harder match than the next one. And this is tomorrow. And if we take care about our performance, and if we take care about our mentality, and if we take care about our attitude, then we increase the chance to win. And if we win, the table takes care of itself. It's like this. So looking up front, I'm happy when Christian says it like this, but we need to stay hungry, and we are in the middle of that race and of the challenge. Where we want to end up is very clear, and tomorrow is a big part of it, and looking up front for me is looking up to Leeds.
Olivia, PLP.
Hi Thomas.
Hi.
Just a word on Thiago Silva. Obviously he's not available for the game, but when he is fit, him and Andreas Christensen have both sort of occupied that central sort of position in the 3.
Yeah.
Is there have you been thinking about perhaps trying to get them into the team together, or when they're both fit, or do you think it's more one or the other?
No, absolutely not. They can for sure play together, because I'm very sure that Christian can play on both sides in the back 3. They can play together when we choose for a back 4. They can be together as centre backs. And like I said, in the back 3, I think that the position in the middle is the best for Thiago, and for Andreas on the same level, But Christian can play on both sides, so no problem there.
Okay, last 2. We've got time for Nick Purewell and then Gavin Cooney to finish. Nick.
Hi Thomas. Just on the size of the squad, is it too big, or is it actually the right size? Because obviously you've talked about the demands of playing in the different tournaments, high-level competitions. Have you actually got the right size of squad? Perfect
size of squad. Big credit for our physical and medical department, that we can choose from so many players. And that we are lucky with not having injuries for too long and for too many players. We have a perfect size of squad. The only thing that I'm missing is to have the possibility of 5 substitutes, to use more players, because it's like since many years a concern of mine, and since many years I'm saying we have to have the possibility to use more of our players. If 10 players play and I can only substitute 3, I have so many players that are not happy, that I cannot reward. And I was pushing for that in any club where I was coaching. So not even now in a let's call it like in a big club. So this is the only regret that I have, because there are players that I would normally like to reward for their effort and their attitude, but the size of the squad is actually perfect.
Okay, last question, Gavin Cooney.
Hi Thomas, thanks very much for talking to me. This is a question primarily of interest to your supporters in Ireland. Your coach, Anthony Barry, has joined the Republic of Ireland coaching setup as well. So
yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about what his qualities are as a coach and what are his main duties on your staff?
Well, you can be very happy, and you are very lucky, because it's a top coach, Anthony, who will join you and your coaching staff. We didn't know him before. He was already here under Frank, and like Joe as well. And Anthony was from the first moment a big part of our coaching team, because first of all, he's a fantastic guy with a fantastic character, very open, very friendly. And he has top quality in analyzing games, in giving his opinion on. He is very experienced. I feel him very comfortable on the pitch when he is in charge of exercises. He's very comfortable in front of the group. He's in charge, like he is the specialist for all set pieces. So he's doing the video session, he's doing the training for set pieces, and he's the assistant in any other exercises, which is a pleasure to have him around. We absolutely don't want to miss him, and so good for you guys. He will increase the level of coaching for sure, because he has top quality and is a top guy.
Welcome back to Matchday Live. Although this is our first league meeting at Ellen Road in nearly 2 decades, the last time we played up at Leeds, it did finish 5-1 to the Blues in 2012. Just one player remained from that Chelsea side, and he captains Chelsea today. In Thomas Tuchel's starting 11, in goal, Edouard Mendy. Well, Jorginho, N'Golo Kanté, Hakim Ziyech, Mason Mount and Kai Havertz. On the bench for Chelsea today, Kepa Arrizabalaga, Marcos Alonso, Timo Werner, Kurt Zouma, Mateo Kovacic, Olivier Giroud, Callum Hudson-Odoi, Reece James and Emerson. I saw this stat online, Jason, that Thomas Tuchel has now made 59 changes to the starting 11 in his first 12 games in charge. But like we had a discussion at the top of the first show about 5 changes at Everton, 6 changes today. When you have a squad as capable as Chelsea's, you're not weakening the side at all, are you?
No, and he's getting it right. You know, he's getting those decisions right. You know, we're all very surprised the first time we saw Callum play right wing back. Now we're looking at the team and assuming that Pulisic is going to play there. Well, they have similar qualities, and it'll be interesting to see what the shape of the team is. I know Dan wants it to be a 4, and it could be. And that's the thing I'm looking at the moment. What is the shape of the team? Has he gone for Pulisic at right wing back? But he's getting the decisions right. You know, just 2 goals conceded still in that time, and we don't look like conceding right now. Mm-hmm. You know, the games go over Christmas and you know, going into the new year. I, like you boys, felt that every opportunity that a team attacked, I felt as though we might concede. Right now, it doesn't feel like that. You know, he's getting all of those, and that's why he's paid the big bucks. So I don't care how many changes he makes. As long as we keep keeping clean sheets and picking up points.
You mentioned him in there, so let's talk about him. Our one to watch for today, naturally, is Christian Pulisic. His first Premier League start under Thomas Tuchel, actually. I didn't realise this. His last Premier League start was Leicester away. But, Dan, we're not... Again, we anticipate he could be in the wing-back role, or he could be if we do play a forward at the back, he could play higher up the pitch. But whatever you get from Christian Pulisic, the versatility that he brings in the fact he can really play both sides, he's good on both feet, he drives from deep... The Christian Pulisic that we saw after lockdown in the summer, on his day, for me, especially in that period, he was the very best in the league. He's got that ability, and he has that ability. And I suppose, like Kai Havertz took his opportunity on Monday night, like Mason Mount's taken his opportunity when he's been given it under Thomas Tuchel, like the offensive players take their opportunities. This is that chance for Christian Pulisic today. Yeah,
and I'm going to stick my neck out and say it is going to be a three at the back, and he is going to be the right wing back. I feel like he's going to thrive in that role, to be fair. I feel like he is going to have a lot of fun out there. It looks to me like he has all the qualities to do it. When he gets on the ball, he wants to beat men. Mm-hmm. I know that's not necessarily the job description of a fullback, but of a wing back, sorry. But he wants to get on the ball and make things happen, and today might be the best day for it. That Leeds are going to come at you and on the transition, if you're quick and you've got nippy players, he's as fast as they come, wants to drive at people, makes fast decisions, good balance, both feet. I've got a feeling it's going to be another one of those things that Tuchel gets right yet again. It feels like everyone he puts trust in and you look at a decision and it looks like, oh, are we sure? And it works every single time. So it might be manager's bounce, it might be a bit of luck, but I think we'll get it again today.
Zach, I suppose the thing to point out as well is everyone talks about Leeds' style, and one of the main things that we've noticed this season is the like of Alioski and who's the other one? Stuart Dallas, both very offensive players 2 or 3 years ago. They've been playing fullback at times this season. So I suppose if you are looking at that aspect, they're going to go forward, but there's going to be space in behind. So if we're kind of doing the same, playing Christian Pulisic in a wing-back role, it's not too dissimilar to the approach that they're taking.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing with Pulisic as well is if out of all the players in the squad, the one guy he probably knows the best is Christian Pulisic, having worked with him at Dortmund, giving him kind of his giving him the big stage at Dortmund. I don't know if he gave him his debut, but he definitely thrived under him. And he said before, he's been unlucky that he's not been selected before. He's not necessarily done anything wrong. He's just got so many players to pick from. And I think, this, as we said about Havertz last time, this could be the game. If Pulisic wants to get into this squad as he, the level that he can do, then he needs to be performing week in, week out. Especially when you play through at the back, it means normally that a forward player is dropped so that a defensive player can play. However, I guess with the way that our fullbacks go, it's normally an attacker there anyway, so it doesn't quite matter too much. But it'll be the same for Callum, right? Callum will look at this and go, okay, I need to get back into this squad. I need to try and make this if Pulisic has a good game. And it keeps not only the fans guessing and the opposition guessing, but each other guessing and making sure they can perform to the highest level. Today, if he has a good game and he really does try and dominate that right wing, which he can do, he will be given space to roam and to drive at the Leeds attack. It's kind of the perfect game for him because we know the level that Christian can play to. We've seen it so many times last season, especially after lockdown, but even before lockdown against Burnley, he was brilliant. And he is still incredibly young as well. We've got to remember that too. So I think if he has a great game, he could be locking down a position for Atletico maybe next week.
I think this is a massive game for him actually, because he has fallen down the pecking order. He hasn't been playing particularly well this season. I know, there's you could perhaps say that number of players over December, January. And there was a lot of talk in the press this week as well. Right now, he's third choice if is a wing back. So we've seen what's happened to Kerr. He's seen what's happened to Ben. And, he wants to make sure the same doesn't happen to him. So this is a big, big game, I think, for Pulisic.
Jace, on that point, though, I suppose he'd look at Callum Hudson-Odoi as well and think, well, perhaps when the new manager comes in, if I show that versatility, if I show I can occupy a wing-back role, if I show I can play as a 10, if I can play as the furthest man forward at times, you've seen him as well. Because managers like that, don't they? Managers like someone that you can go, I know I can trust you and I can trust you in a number of positions. And that surely makes you strong within the squad.
Absolutely. And that goes back to the point I just made about having to put in a performance today if he is on that right wing-back area. Callum's played a couple of positions already this season. And he's shown that versatility. And Pulisic, they're very similar players. You know, what they give to you, very, very similar in style, very similar in you know, they've got a lot of the same attributes. And you're only going to probably play one of those in that position. You know, you might see Pulisic and Callum in the same team. I don't know. It didn't roll off the tongue. So it does feel as though those two, in particular, a little bit like Ben and Alonso, you know, you're only going to play one of those. I can't see you playing two.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, mate. And like you said about players taking their chances, on Monday night we saw arguably the best performance in Chelsea Blue from our summer signing, Kai Havertz. Definitely took his chance on that night. Jason has had a look. What made him stand out?
I think it's fair to say that Kai Havertz's career at Chelsea hasn't quite started the way that he would have wanted, and there's a number of reasons for that. Injuries and COVID being just two of them. But the game against Everton saw exactly the sort of player that we can expect to see in the coming weeks, months and years. His all-round game was superb. He was the best player on the pitch. He looked bright, sharp, lively. His link-up play was superb, getting in behind, running at defenders as well. He's got a lovely turn of pace, and he's strong as well when he gets that ball out of his feet. But the goal really, I felt, even though perhaps it wasn't on target, I felt really added to his game, and the confidence levels after that you could see oozing through his veins. Brilliant play there with Timo Werner, getting in behind their block, driving at defences, as I said. Little touches, his awareness. Must have been a pleasure to play with him on the day, because he really did stand out. Unfortunately for him on this occasion, lovely running behind and in between the defenders on that occasion. Given handball, but his influence on the game was all round. Got the goal and ended up getting the penalty as well, which secured our 2-0 win. And like every other Chelsea fan, I cannot wait to see how his game improves over the rest of the season.
Definitely an outstanding performance on Monday night, Dan, and I suppose a different role for him this today in terms of playing what looks like a false nine position, or at least the furthest man forward, whatever you want to call that. But what stood out for you on Monday night about Kai Havertz?
I think regardless of whether he plays in the 9 or the 10, one of his main attributes is picking up space in between lines. You know, just arriving late, just almost being an undetected player. Which is hard for him because he plays quite tall. He's a big boy. He's hard to miss. But what he does, he finds space very, very well, and he's all about little swift touches. And the position I think he'll play in today is more of a 9 3/4. It's like and he loves Harry Potter. If anyone likes Harry Potter, you'll know
he does love Harry Potter.
It's a Harry Potter role. It's a Harry Potter role.
That's why he's going to be performing so well. But he's got everything. You know, he's great in the air. He's faster than he looks. He's got a very, very good brain. You know, he has a quick scan before the ball's fed into him, and when he's on his game and he is sharp, he's obviously one of the best in the world. So I have got a feeling that this position is going to be very good for him. I'm just wondering how we'll be able to get, you know, with Werner, you know, you can get in behind very fast. It is almost just a 0 to 60. We can really get in behind. Whereas with the front three of, you know, Mason, Ziyech and Havertz, it almost feels like it's going to be more trickery. We'll trick our way between the lines rather than it be something more kind of direct and aggressive. So I'm intrigued to see it. I honestly, right now, I'm with whatever Tuchel picks. I'm with it. I believe in it. I feel like they'll be well briefed. So I'm interested to see like everyone else.
Zach, in Jason's analysis, he talks about, you know, the difficulties that Kai's had to overcome, and the fact, you know, he's still such a young player. But it did feel on Monday night that perhaps he played without perhaps the weight of expectation or the weight of pressure that we'd seen before. What did you see from him on Monday night that you felt was I suppose a difference? What do you think's been that difference in him?
It looked like he was fit. Partially as well. I mean, as we said, Jason covered what the issues he's come through as well. And I think that's definitely a part of it. He's also had time to adapt now to what Tuchel wants from him. He's probably been working on it in training. He knows what he needs to do, because although, yes, I think in the formation, it kind of that he wasn't playing as the 9, it was Werner. He basically was that the whole time, and Werner was on the right. And so you kind of saw what Tuchel wanted from him, and he himself just felt like he had a bit more confidence in his play. He wasn't necessarily maybe head down all the time. He was looking up and kind of seeing the game, and that I thought was really nice that when Pickford came out, he was kind of like, I knew he was going to take me out. I was just getting ready for it, and he was like reading the game, making sure. And he was so unlucky not to get a goal. I mean, the handball, people dispute it, is what it is, but it's a really, really nice touch to bring it down. It's a great finish. Like, if that's a goal, if that counts, and we'll probably talk about it a lot more than it has been, because it was a smart situation. Really, he could have just headed it, but instead he controlled it. So yeah, I think he's coming into his own. It's not done just yet. I mean, he's got to probably have a few more games like this, and he'll know that as well. But I'm pretty sure after Monday, it would have felt like, and even in his interview afterwards, it looked like a weight had been lifted, and he felt a lot more comfortable to his performance. And you know, good on him, because he is still incredibly young. I think people forget he's younger than Mason Mount, and we all look at Mace as still a very young guy, because he's only 22. But yeah, if he has another good performance today, then we really could start to see the beginning of something special.
Let's have a look at our hot topic 3 for today, which is set pieces, which are going to be key, obviously. Leeds have conceded more headed goals than anyone else in the Premier League this season in 11. They've also conceded 10 goals from corners. Jay, under Frank Lampard, we scored a lot of goals. I mean, Kurt Zouma, I think he was our top goal scorer in the Premier League for a good while, in terms of, it felt like every corner was Chilwell to Zouma, and there was, but you know, an opportunity to score. We haven't scored a huge amount of set pieces since Thomas Tuchel's come under. Do you think today that's going to play a real part? Do you think it's more a case of perhaps creating different opportunities rather than not taking set pieces as seriously as we have before?
I mean, a huge percentage of Premier League goals are scored by set pieces, huge amount. And certain teams will have their season designed around set pieces because they can get so much from them. We're not the biggest side in the world today. Havertz and Rudiger, you can throw Christensen in there. He's yet to score in a Chelsea shirt. So, you know, maybe today's it. I don't know. But, you know, other than that, we don't have the Giroud. We haven't got Zouma. You know, so we haven't got Alonso. We're not giants where you can pick another Chelsea team under Tuchel and you go into it feeling as though we really can make set pieces, certainly corners, count. But it doesn't. It feels... I think Dan might have said it, or maybe Zach, that it feels as though we're going to have to trick our way through today. That looking at the team, and just a couple of websites have gone with a 4, and someone mentioned about how we're going to get in behind them because it's not really Kai's game. Mount and Pulisic, if that is going to be that 4, the 4 at the back, they're going to be playing in behind Havertz. They can be the ones that stretch. They can be the ones that get in behind that back 4 if that system is played.
So it's just on that, the place that have got Chelsea lined up as a 4. Where's Ziyech's role? Is it deeper, or is it in a 10 role? What have they got?
It'll be one of the 3 in behind, I suspect. Right. I think it'll be Jorginho and Golo, and then I think it'll be a 4-2-3-1. He will probably be on the right. I'm guessing Pulisic on the left, and I'd expect Mason to play in that number 10 role. I can't. Look, there's so many different permutations of what this could be. Could it be a 4-3-3? I don't know. Maybe he's got Mount in the middle of the park. Maybe he feels made the point earlier that Mount has in the game against Leeds the ground cover the ground more than any other player, and so maybe he feels I need a little bit more energy in the middle of the park. There's a number of things that he could go with there today. So that's the first thing I'll be looking at is the shape of the team, who's playing where, because it makes a huge difference.
Dan, just going back to the set pieces quickly, because Jay makes a great point there about the need for, I suppose, players like Mason Mount, players like Christian Pulisic to get in beyond and perhaps play a different role. If we do have set pieces in a specific area, the names he's just mentioned, add to that Hakim Ziyech, add to that Ben Chilwell, their delivery from set pieces is exceptional. So there is that a little bit. And although we're not the tallest team, if there is a vulnerability in Leeds from that area, it's definitely somewhere that could be exploited today.
Yeah, Leeds concede a lot from set pieces. We've got brilliant delivery going into the box. Not the tallest team, but they don't seem to have the best organisation when it comes to defending set pieces. So it could be from that also. I mean, Havertz is better than he's given credit for in the air. Ultimately, if Zuma's in the team, then you know that is the one that you have to look out for, because he's the one that seems to almost be a magnet to aerial balls. So, yeah, look, I feel like it won't be in Chelsea's game plan necessarily to set up for set pieces, but we'll know that they are fragile defensively when it does come to them. So it's an option.
Well, you've just seen Hakim Ziyech and Kai Havertz rip one into the top corner in the warm-up for Chelsea today. So looks like it's going to be a good one. It's obviously great to have Leeds United back in the Premier League. They're a massive team. We know they are. Mainly because it does give us an opportunity to look at some of our top goals against them. And there are a few to pick from. So check this out.
Spencer. Hughes setting himself. Oh, Lucas lost it completely. And Mark Hughes gives Chelsea the lead. Well, you can rely on him to make a good volleyed contact. Unfortunately, Leeds could not rely on their goalkeeper.
And Hasselbank pulled away on the left. Hasselbank going into the area. Lampard's across the middle. It's Gudjohnsen. He can set his sights. He can score. Chelsea may be in the last 8 of the Worthington Cup.
On by Lampard. There's no flag here. And Johnson is away with Gudjohnsen waiting. So is Drogba. Yes, but Drogba. Chelsea lead. And he can't stop scoring. But full marks to the teenager. He spotted the run of Drogba and picked him out perfectly.
Oh, Bumstead with a surprise, 1-0 Chelsea.
Pass Batty. So Mario Stanic. Batty's and Bowyer snapping back at him. He's got it through to Petit. Gudjohnsen! That's a fantastic strike. And Chelsea are ahead inside 2 minutes. A pearler of a shot from the Icelandic international.
Moses. Chanting loudest at the moment. Moses could make it better. Oh, what a hit! Victor Moses with one right out of the top drawer. And these have been 20 fantastic minutes for Chelsea.
Chelsea trying to lift their game and lift their spirits, and Graham Lasso has done exactly that. That's a terrific show of enterprise just when Chelsea needed it.
Hutchinson. Cook takes it up. Osgood's got on his run. And there's the ball coming in. Osgood! A wonderful goal! A fantastic strike by Chelsea. Getting in behind that Leeds United pace. A beautiful header.
Decisive run from Lampard. Gudjohnsen! Oh, that's fantastic! That is a fantastic goal. Ivan Gudjohnsen brings Chelsea level. Absolutely brilliant.
Absolutely no surprises that Ivan Johnson was number one there. What a go. Jay, do you remember that game?
I do remember that game. Of course I remember that game. Frank's cross as well, and the celebrations afterwards. Yeah, it was big goal for Ivan. He could do that though, couldn't he?
Hugely underrated when we're talking about the best that have played in the league. I mean, I know his nickname was the Iceman, but I never remember him being flustered. There'd be 4 or 5 defenders around. He'd take 2 or 3 touches, and then on the other hand, he can do an overhead kick like that. I mean, Dan, I know you're a big fan of him because we've spoken about partnerships on this show before. Him and Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank, obviously another player that played for Leeds, but any of those today would be welcome. Is there anyone you think today that's going to make the difference? Who are you thinking? Who are you looking at to make that difference?
I honestly, it's going to sound cliche and almost repetitive, but I'm looking at Mason Mount yet again to just have a big game. It just seems like he's got everything. I can see anything from him today, so I'm going to go with him as first goal scorer. 24 yards, top bins.
What
Not asking much. That'll do us. Well, we are still getting a little bit of word about the formation, and if we're taking the warm-ups into consideration, Aspi, Christensen, and Rudiger, which you can see now, are lining up together, defending as a unit together. So potentially, Zach, like we've been saying on here, and you're going to get it first on Matchday Live, of course you are. Why you'd be looking at other outlets for any information regarding Chelsea, I'm not sure anyway, but it looks potentially like a 5 at the back, maybe, mate.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for Dan's happiness, I think he'll be over the moon. I was going to say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But I mean, he also changes the players every week, so that saying doesn't really matter either. In terms of his back three, though, he seems to be quite comfortable. He knows out of everyone in the squad, out of the 11 players, the goalkeeper and the 3 centre backs are normally the players that we can say who will be in there. Because I think if you're a defence, you probably do need that position to kind of be consistent. However, also, Kurt Zuma had a very good game against Everton on the weekend, on Monday. I think the other thing with being a centre-back is, compared to if you're a forward player, your position and everything you do isn't as different, right? At the end of the day, you're defending the goal. Whereas if you're a winger or if you're a midfielder, you have different things. Maybe you like to dribble past a player. Maybe you like to take on a player. Whereas as a centre-back, although, yes, there are different, you can be a ball-playing one, you can be a brute. At the end of the day, you are defending that goal. And so we also know how much he loves keeping Aspi in that squad as well, having the captain in the squad. And we've seen the effect he's had in that, being a leader on the pitch. I think a 3 at the back is probably the right thing, especially if probably Leeds will also kind of match up in that formation, you'd expect. And so, I think it fits it quite well. And it'll be interesting to see Christian Pulisic as a right wing back.
Lee Parker spoke to Thomas Tuchel about this. You can see the full interview on the 5th stand-up. He spoke to him obviously earlier in the week about shots conceded. We conceded just 1.78 shots on average per game, which is 16 shots in 9 games since, Jay. So I suppose that does lean to it as well, doesn't it? If you're a defender at the moment, you're doing your job. We're not conceding goals. We're not conceding shots. We're not getting lucky and keeping clean sheets. So like we've all said, I suppose if it's not broken, don't fix it.
Yeah, I mean, I know the goalkeeper and the back 3 will take the credit for the clean sheets, and you could argue that. But as a unit, I think we're defending from the front. And, you talk about what Mason does up top. He's that first line of defence, isn't he? Because of the work rate that he puts in. And then, of course, it filters down. And we defend as a unit. And I think it's fair to say, under Frank, at times, that wasn't the case. We were conceding far too many opportunities, conceding too much ground. Certainly, I felt... in the games that we played against opposition that we shouldn't be. But right now, Tuchel's getting it right. Team selection, the shape of the team, what he's demanding and asking of his players, he's answering those questions. And long may that continue.
Absolutely right, man. Well, that is all from us for now. You can hear Thomas Tuchel speak about our defensive solidity because Lee did catch up with the boss as he looks to continue his unbelievable start he has made in the Chelsea dugout.
You've conceded just 2 goals in the Premier League, which is incredible on its own. But you've also been able to reduce the amount of chances that opposition teams have created by such a huge margin. What is it that you're doing to make that work?
But honestly, I'm more happy about the amount of chances that we allow, than the not amount of chances that we allow, than about the clean sheet. The clean sheet is a result of that. So you can have clean sheets sometimes and you're totally lucky, but then okay, this will not hold too long. But when you can consistently, like our team does, prevent the opponent from creating chances, from creating even half chances, that is the feeling that you want to have. And with that feeling, we are super happy, and the team deserves big credit for that. We have a huge team effort in defending. It starts really with our strikers. That is maybe even the reason why they are not super composed in front of the goal when we have a chance, because they work hard against the ball as a whole team. I felt us from the first game very brave in defending and very adaptive.
Leeds United this weekend, always a huge occasion for Chelsea fans.
I'm aware of Leeds as a big club, honestly. Like I said in press conference, I remember watching the games live between Leeds and VfB Stuttgart, even in the stadium in Stuttgart. And we admit the history, and it's like this in Premier League. So they have a strong squad, a very unique manager, and it's a famous club with a unique style of play, very intense, a lot of intensive runs, a very fluid midfield, three in midfield, and always ready to attack and always wanting to win their games. So yeah, big challenge on again, but we expect nothing else when we play Premier League games.